guess another pair of Macintosh. I figured that I've had this thing now for almost 5 years. I should probably actually do something with it, right? I think it actually has a problem, but we'll take a look at that here in a bit. Some of you know I've got a pair of graphite Power Macintosh G4s. This is one of the later models. They called this the QuickSilver. It was rescued from a recycling bin, and I haven't done anything with it since. It's very heavy. I think it's missing the cover over that front speaker. But it does have a front speaker. Of course, power and reset. And I believe... I'm not sure what that switch underneath it is, unless maybe that's a programmer switch, or maybe it's an LED. These don't have hard drive LEDs. Apple never really had those kinds of things. It does have an optical drive and a zip drive. It's kind of neat. It's not in perfect condition, but it is a pretty good example of one of these, what I would consider to be probably one of the last times Apple really put any kind of thought into the design of their systems. Although one could argue that the Metal Mac Pro and the Power Mac G5, upon which that design bases, is also a pretty good design. But it's more utilitarian than this one happens to be. Take a look at the back here. We can see power supply, pretty typical power supply. And unlike the mirrored drive door, the later MDD machines, I believe this is actually a standard ATX power supply. Or at least close to. I know these screws look a little... the positioning of those screws is a little weird, but it is at least probably a better power supply. It's got a bigger fan on it, so it's not as noisy. Of course, if we look here, this one has the optional modem. There's a headphone and... is that a microphone or a line input? I'm not 100% sure. Here's the model number. If you want to pause the video and read that, if you can. There's Ethernet, 2 FireWire 400 and 2 USB. There's a video card, which is an Apple video card because it's got both the VGA and the Apple desktop or Apple display connection. Almost called it Apple desktop bus. No, that's something completely different. These G4s don't have. 933 megahertz, 512 meg of RAM, 60 gig hard drive. DVD-R, CD-RW, I believe that would make that a combo drive. And a GeForce 4MX. Ooh, fancy. I don't know. Oh, zip. That said something else for a second. Modem. So it was actually configured from the factory with that. Keyboard, which I don't know that I got. This might be the original keyboard. I can't remember if I picked up a keyboard or not. Gigabit Ethernet and Mac OS 10. Like I said, I believe that is a standard power supply. I don't think that fan down there, it's part of it. That fan is actually the cooling fan for the CPU, of which this is just a single processor model. It does have some RAM. It's not a whole lot. You can see there's no battery. Probably a good thing, because it still takes one of these 3.6 volt lithiums, and those tended to explode if you let them sit. And there's the modem with its little cable that goes to the back of the machine. Back here. Looks like there's another fan right here as well. I don't think the MDDs have this. I think they just have the one fan in the back. There's the hard drive. I believe that's actually one of my drives, so maybe I did do something with this. But I don't remember if I did or not. You can probably go back in my channel history and find a video about it, and then point and laugh at me and say, haha, you moron, you've already made a video of this thing, but here I am making another one. There are 2 IDE channels. One of them here, which goes up to this, and this one. There's certainly a plethora of hard drive bays. You could fit one of these things with SCSI if you wanted to. I think one of my graphite units had SCSI in it. Of course, there's the DVD and the zip drive underneath it. I'm sure that zip drive doesn't work. A lot of them didn't, but having said that, the internal ones were a lot better than the external ones. I remember having a lot of problems with parallel port zip drives. Like I said, this is probably the original GeForce 4MX video card. You see those wonderful capacitors on there that are They look like solid capacitors, but they're not actually solid capacitors. They're electrolytics, and they tended to blow up. You see these slots down here, these are PCI X slots. They could take a standard PCI card, but they're intended to be used with 64-bit long cards. Usually you only saw those in servers, but Apple used them in the Power Mac G4 pretty much across the board, at least once you got to a certain age. Well, I did find one module. I've got questions as to whether or not it's going to work in this, and I don't know how much it is, because it doesn't say on it. But we'll give it a shot, see if this thing actually happens to work. Okay, my camera is telling me I have 7 minutes left on my battery, so I better make this quick. Got it on my workbench. Let's go ahead and plug it in and see if it likes this RAM. Apologies for the wind noise. Oh, I got a chime out of it. Oh, here we go. Look at that. I don't think it likes this picture. Wow. I actually did have this Apple monitor plugged into it. This one down here, I was using this to test it for a little while, but of course, obviously this monitor, the stand is broken, so I'm going to have to do something about that. Yeah. Good thing this mouse works. Take a look here. That's what it's running. 512 megs. It's running 10.4, which some people will probably say that I should put 10.5 on this, and my experiences with 10.5 on particularly the sub 1 gigahertz machines is not very good. Take a look at the more info. I don't have this thing hooked up to my network, so there's not much else that I can really do with it. Where's the information? ATA. That's a pretty apt description of this. So this is probably a fresh installation. It's a 120 gig drive. And that is not the original optical drive. That is a replacement, because it's a DVD-RW, which is not what this shipped with, if you saw on the back there. So that's pretty neat. I wonder if it ejects. Oh, still ejects. That's good. Tray belt's good. Texas Instruments audio chip. No Bluetooth. Diagnostics failed. Memory type problem. So, yeah, there's our issue there. You can see we definitely have some RAM problems. So, gonna have to do something about that. Disk burning. Apple shipped and supported, so they did put a genuine Apple drive in there. Although, like I said, the spec sheet on the back said that this, or the spec sticker on the back said that this shipped with a DVD reader, not a burner. No fiber channel, 400 megabit per second firewires, nothing hooked up. There's our display, 1152 by 864, and we can do better than that. I would like to think we can do better than that. Yeah, that's a dream. This is the native resolution for this panel. Okay. Let's see if it actually updates. Nope. Hasn't yet. Oh. Yeah, it doesn't even see that memory module. So this must be the original. My camera is telling me I'm running out of battery now. No PCI, no parallel SCSI, AC power, no printers, serial ATA, USB, pretty typical stuff. This is actually a fairly fancy optical mouse. Just happens to be the quickest thing I could find sitting around. And indeed, as you can see, this does have airport. I actually could hook this up to my network if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, and in the interest of time, because my camera is telling me my battery's about to die, I'll go ahead and I'll conclude the video with that. So we've got some work to do in terms of the memory subsystem, but for the most part at least, it looks like we are in good shape. That's pretty much it for that. Thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below.